Welcome back to the Indie StarCraft Team League Season 3 Wrap-Up. My name is Shalthus from the GKick Network at www.gkick.net, and we're covering this past week's StarCraft 2 action from the ISTL. After last week's round full of exciting Game 7s, would the players be able to bring it again? This week, Western Wolves and Team My Intent would be making their Season 3 debuts after placing first and second place last season. The first game of the week would pit Area 51 Gaming up against Team Alt. Team Alt's Webs would start things off strong by taking a couple of wins right off the bat before falling to Area 51's Taiga. He would tie the series up against Bonk before dropping to Dice. Kitty, from Area 51, would come back to retie the series to give us yet another deciding Game 7. Alt would send out Elijah, a Terran player who would fight Kitty tooth and nail to take the last game and the series for Alt 4-3. Next, we would see last season's champions Western Wolves square off against Zeez, who were coming off of a narrow Game 7 loss to Multitude last week. Western Wolves would come out with a bang as the returning champions, sending out their star Protoss player Starnan, whose impeccable control and decision-making would allow him to burn his way through all four Zeez players in dominating fashion. Despite taking the last 3 games past the 20-minute mark, Starnan would be unstoppable and score the first all-kill of the ISTL Season 3 for Western Wolves. Up next, Team Optik would square off against Multitude, and despite Optik taking the first game of the series, Frostswarm for Multitude would come in and go on an absolute tear. After taking out Optik's Coyote in a ZVZ, he would proceed to take down Scary, Hyperdesi, and ultimately taking down the Terran player Requiem after thwarting an early bunker rush to claim the second all-kill of the season and take the series for Multitude 4-1. Finally, Team Impulse would square off against Team My Intent, the second-place finishers from last season going up against the third-place finishers. Sending out their ringer early, Impulse brought out Ender, who would prove to be extremely effective, taking out My Intent's McLeod, Fiery, and Paradise to give Impulse an early 3-0 lead and possibly cause another all-kill. It all came down to Shinya from My Intent, a player who formerly all-killed Impulse and who would need to claim a reverse all-kill just to win the series. In a shocking turnaround, Shinya defeated Ender, Scions, and Shield to force yet another Game 7. In this final game, Impulse's Niter would be called from the casting desk to try and stop the Protoss powerhouse. However, despite his best efforts, a great and well-timed early push by Shinya was all it took to shut Impulse down and complete the reverse all-kill for Shinya. Another exciting week of action comes to an end, but join us next week as My Intent will face Infinity DTG, Impulse will face Team Alt, Western Wolves goes up against Property, and Zeez will take on Team Optik. Catch the action live every Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday night exclusively at twitch.tv/impulse, and follow the ISTL on Twitter at IMP_eSports. And you can also subscribe to these weekly wrap-ups at youtube.com/observeresports. This is Shalthus, and I'll see you all next week.